Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome back to another studio vlog. This week is going to be a lot more chill than last week with all of that store prep. I need a bit of a break. It's been a very hectic couple of weeks of projects. Which, speaking of the store launch, I just wanted to mention at the beginning of this video that tomorrow is the last day for my impromptu summer/late anniversary sale. I did originally want this video to go up yesterday, but it's going up today, so I'm extending the sale by a day because I know, time zones and when people get a chance to watch it and stuff can be finicky, and I didn't want to show up here and be like, today's the last day. So tomorrow, Saturday, June 18th, let's not mix up dates, but tomorrow, Saturday, June 18th will be the last day for the sale, and the code expires at midnight Eastern Standard Time. So just wanted to mention that in case you'd missed any of the other announcements and you've been waiting to pick up a compact palette, palette tower, brush organizer, fine liner, pencil organizer, whatever it might be. Just wanted to give you a final heads up there. But now that the shameless self-promotion is out of the way, the main plan for this video is to do a bunch of paint organizing. When I was really focusing on all of the store launch products and getting those finished and created, and in between a bunch of other craziness, which actually I have one other thing I was working on here that I'll show you. I actually had a Curry's order come in, which was the remainder, well, almost asterisk, the rest of the acrylic gouache color line that I was missing. So with the exception of a few colors, I now have the entirety of the acrylic gouache paint line, which normally I would not buy an entire line of paint, but the way that I like using acrylic gouache is very straight from the tube, and I really wasn't missing that many colors from just the ones that I've accumulated over time. And so there was a sale on, and I decided to pick up the remainder of the colors that I was interested in. So there are a few that I didn't get, like all of the metallic colors, and there's a bunch of different grays I didn't get either, just because I don't really use gray acrylic gouache that much. It's mostly the colors, and with the exception of a few that I have since ordered the first order because they didn't have them listed on Curry's. It was a whole weird thing, but there were, I think, 3 colors that were non-existently difficult to find, but I did end up managing to find them somewhere else, and so they will be arriving at some point too, so I will have my full color line, which I'm super excited about. It's gonna look really cool in the acrylic gouache tube storage that I made. It's gonna be like a little acrylic gouache store display of my own. That arrived at the height of store prep chaos, so I didn't have a chance to deal with it. So I want to swatch the paint. Of course, I'll show you the colors that I was missing from my collection, but then I need to swatch them, organize them into the rest of the collection, and all of that fun stuff. But other than the store prep chaos, the other project I spent a lot of time on, let me turn it on, was this. So I'm sure it's no secret on my channel that I'm a massive Star Wars fan, and if you've been watching the new Obi-Wan Kenobi series, then you probably recognize Lola. Yeah, ever since I split off all of my prop making projects to my prop shop channel, which there's an entire build video on how I made her. If you're interested, that will be linked below, carded here. Ever since I split them off, I never get to show you the cool stuff that I make over there. Yeah, she was just sitting on my desk because I need to film another video using her as an example, so figured she would come on here and make a little appearance. Yeah, between building Lola and all of the store prep, I just need a bit of a chill week, so that is why the paint organization sounds like a really nice treat for me. The other plan, I might do more, we will see, but the other plan specifically that I want to do for this video is, you might have seen in my store prep studio vlog that I finally made the swatch charts for the travel palettes. I always wanted to make printable swatch charts for anyone that wanted to add one into their travel palette, and finally last week I got that done. But I really wanted to do a bit of a demonstration using my own compact palette because there's a few specifics, especially with the compact palettes, that I don't know if I've ever mentioned in a video, so I figured just making my own swatch sheet for my compact palette, which is something I would have done anyway, and it also gives me the chance to explain the little details and things that I don't know if I have yet. Not that you don't all know how to make a swatch sheet by now, but I think that covers all of the plans for this video, so let's get into some paint organizing. I guess we will start with the bag of paint here, since I did talk about mostly what I had bought. So this is going to be a very uneven and unusual collection of colors. The first one, which isn't quite like the rest, I just bought a large tube of titanium white, since you do tend to mix white in quite a lot, at least I do. I feel like I go through the white quite quickly, and I do also like using the acrylic gouache paint on other paintings because of its properties. Like, it doesn't reactivate like normal gouache does, so that can be really useful. So picked up a bigger tube of that. As you can, how big is this? 40 milliliters versus 20, so it's twice the size of the typical tubes. But other than the white, we've got mustard, yellow, what an original name, ash yellow. I'm just kind of going by vague color that looks like they go together. The ash colors are all more muted colors, same with the misty ones. So there is misty blue, misty green, pale pink, light magenta, raw sienna, raw umber, which honestly, the two of these I'm kind of surprised I didn't somehow accumulate in either the large set that I originally bought or just over time, so got those now. Crimson, and the last two are the only unusual or more unusual colors in the line that I bought, and that is luminous orange and luminous lemon, which these ones are like the highlighter colors. Like, you can just see how intense that orange is, and I'm sure the paint looks, yep, just as bananas. I honestly don't know if the camera is going to be able to pick this up accurately enough. It might freak out the lens just for how intense of a highlight fluorescent color it is. Yeah, same with that yellow. Assuming the normal yellow is a vaguely normal yellow color, you will be able to see just the intensity difference of the color there. So what I end up doing for these tubes, how I store them, is I will end up putting a little bit of paint on the lid so that I can see the colors easier, figure out which ones I want to grab from the storage unit, and then I will fill out the remainder of my swatch chart. So here is my swatch chart printed out. I ended up cutting down like a typical 9x12 sheet of watercolor paper to 8.5 by 11. That is what the templates work off of. Unfortunately, watercolor paper does not typically come like 8.5 by 11 size, but I know that's what all printers generally will fit. So wanted to make sure that, you know, a pretty typical inkjet printer could print this off just with, you know, cutting down a sheet of watercolor paper to size. Now, the printer that I used to print this has a back feeder, so I'm not sure if everyone's printer will be able to handle the thickness of every watercolor paper, like going, you know, how most inkjet printers, you put it in the bottom and then it actually curls around and prints on the other side. This didn't have to do that. So, you know, be cautious and sensible with your own printer. Although I do know a lot of printers have the ability that even if it does print from underneath, there is also the option to print from the back so that it doesn't have to do that curl in the machine. So got that printed out. Also wanted to mention, you probably can maybe see the actual outlines for the discs of the compact palettes are in gray. The reason for that is because typical inkjet printers, of course, they have the CMYK, so the black ink, if it was printing gray, it means it's physically using less ink. So when you start adding watercolor to this, because there isn't like such a saturated amount of ink in that area, I have in the past when I have done swatch charts and printed them out, the lighter gray, because it's not that much ink, it tends to not run and create a lot of an issue. So this might still be a bit dark for your preference. In that case, you can just print it at a lower opacity. But this I did print just at like 100% opacity because I tried to guesstimate like a nice mid-tone gray where you could still see the lines, especially on camera, just since I need this as an example, while it still isn't going to be like a runny ink mess issue. So here's my personal palette, and this chart of course is fine and dandy, but there is a very specific way to read this, and I'm not actually sure if I've mentioned this in a video. So each of these discs you can see is separated with 9 wells on the outside and 5 on the inside. But each of these discs actually has a top, and it is where this like central spoke, or where the actual palette split, lines up. It doesn't line up anywhere else on the palette, as you can see. The 5 on the inside do not line up with the other lines on the outer ring. So the line that does actually pass through the middle of both rings is what I would consider the top. It's always been the top in the design, and it is the top in this swatch chart. And since it is lined up, I feel like it's the easiest to read, and so that is how these swatch charts work. I know circles are kind of a complicated way to read a swatch chart, but I've tried to make it as easy as I can. Also completely forgot to mention, I'm gonna keep my rings on this sheet of paper just because I have like a swatch chart library in my studio, but you can absolutely cut these out and they will fit in the rest of the palette, or if you want to cut them out and put them in your sketchbook that you're using or something, you can absolutely cut out the ring, even cut out the center so it's easy to get to the rest of the palette, and it will work inside with the rest of all of the layers and mixing dishes and stuff. But as for my layers, they work that I have the top one is my warm colors, the middle one is my cool colors, and the bottom layer is my neutral colors. So that's gonna be how I make my swatch chart as well. I'm like way too tall for where this camera is set up right now, but we're gonna roll with it. I think that's actually gonna be where I end this studio vlog. I feel like I barely filmed anything, but of course I have been working on packaging orders and all of that other stuff, which of course thank you all so much for all of your continuous support towards my art supplies. But I do need to go back to that and not get distracted with organizing and swatching new paints and stuff. Of course, now that the store launch has happened, it means that I have more time to work on other projects, so Let me know if there's any specific videos you would be interested in me making. I do have a few planned out that I'm excited to work on, hopefully next week, but I'm always interested in finding out what you all would be interested in seeing from me in the future. So whether that's specific video ideas like a certain art supplies review or something, or more like generalized, like you like studio vlogs or paint with me videos, whatever it might be, please feel free to leave that in the comments. But that is going to be everything. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.